Morning, good moed. Welcome to Kilachari Torah's daily review of Maimonides' 613 mitzvot, Sefer HaMitzvahs, for Monday, the 27th, right, of September. We have been talking about the number of idolatrous practices that are prohibited in Maimonides' list of 365 prohibitions. So these include practices that would make us appear to be similar, indistinguishable from practitioners of idolatry. Among those are these next three. Number 43, prohibition number 43, is shaving the temples of our heads. In other words, the side of your head here, we're not supposed to shave that, certainly to shave the entire head. That is, the Torah says in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 27, thou shalt not round the corners of your heads. In other words, shave your whole head, particularly these areas. And that is connected with or leads logically into prohibition number 44, shaving the beard. This prohibition says we're forbidden to shave the beard, which has five parts of beard, in case you're wondering. The upper right jaw, this is my right? The upper left jaw, the lower right, the lower left, and the peak of the beard. Some say that's the chin, some say that's the mustache. So if you've seen those pictures of rabbis, maybe from Europe, from Germany, or other places from 100 years ago or days gone by, they would trim the beard very short in other parts, but they would be sure to leave the sideburns and the mustache and the chin part of the beard there. So even if they did remove other parts of the beard. Of course, it has to be done in a permissible fashion. The extended halachas of this means you're not allowed to put touch a razor to your face. They would have to use chemicals or chemical depilatories, I think is the proper term, or scissors or anything like that. So anyway, easiest thing, easy care beard. I have the experience in that if anybody needs any tips. Last one we'll talk about today is we're forbidden to make cuttings in our flesh. Remember, we spoke about tattoos before. This is we're forbidden to cut ourselves, to cut into the skin. This sarita and gedida, one is cutting with the hand, one is cutting with an instrument. They would cut themselves in mourning for the dead or whatever the purpose was. So we are to avoid that also. In keeping with the commandment in Deuteronomy chapter 14, which we had a couple weeks ago at the beginning, verse number 1. We'll talk about some more of these things after Yom Tov. Today, let's just mention that it is Hoshana Rabbah. Monday is Hoshana Rabbah, the last day of Sukkot. So today is the last day we use the lulav and esrog, take the lulav and esrog during davening, make bracha, hold it during Hallel, and so on. And as we've been doing for the last week, we say at the end of davening, after Musaf, is the custom in Nusach Ashkenaz to say the Hoshanas, and this is something you can do, remember, on your own, even if you're not in Shul, you don't need a minyan for this. You could say the Hoshanas beginning, if you have the RCA Siddur on page 726, you say those four verses, Hoshana L'man Chelakenu, and then we go through all the Hoshanas, as we've been doing, making one circuit, one hakafa around the bima, or around the dining room table, or around the folding chair. You put them in the living room, wherever you have something to march around, so that we're thinking of the temple in Jerusalem. That's the main thing. We've been saying one of the little poems here, one of the Hoshana poems per day, and marching around, holding a lulav and esrog with pride and joy. So we do that today, except we say all of the seven Hoshanas, make 7 circuits around whatever we're circling around. And if you'll follow along in the Siddur after that, from page 730, quite a number of pages here. There's long Hoshanas. It's called the Great Hoshana, Hoshana Rabbah, the Great Hosanna. Save us. These are prayers that we implore God for a good year for rain. Now in Toronto, not a big deal. We've even had some of that blessing, quite a bit of that blessing, in fact, over Sukkot, but we're not usually keeping Canada foremost in our minds. We're, of course, keeping Israel. And Israel always needs the blessings of rain to meet all of its needs for the people who live there and for the land. So we follow through page, let's see, 750. Through the end of page 754. That's the end of the Hoshanas for Hoshana Rabbah. So say as many of those as you can. You have a translation of some of the words are very poetic, a little bit hard to follow, but we do that. Now, on page 756, there is a custom, an ancient custom, of the prophets, which is to bang willow twigs on the ground and to say a Yehi Ratzon, a prayer here asking God to sweeten the severities. And there's a little bit of notes about that. There's a little bit of the prayer itself is somewhat self-explanatory. If you would like to obtain a bundle of willow twigs for yourself, they can be obtained in the sukkah at KST. You could stop by. There's a bucket of Hoshanas. You could take one, and if you would, please put $5 in the envelope, which is going to be you'll find in the shul mailbox there. That's to cover the cost. We have a guy who cuts them and bundles them together for us and delivers them, and we pay him for his services. So you'll share in that cost if you would, please. Okay, those will be there all day today. So if you need one anytime, you can do this up until candlelighting time tonight. So the custom is to wish each other Piska Tava, a guter kvittel, a good seal and a good completion. Today is the completion, the finale of the entire high holiday season. Please God, all of our prayers and all of our efforts should be answered for good health for us, for Klal Yisrael. A good Yom Tif and a good Yor.